Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, July 14th, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says SVG was wrongly placed on an international blacklist as a tax haven with no transparency and vows to restore the country's reputation. At a media conference earlier today, PM Gonsalves says that there is evidence that SVG has been given a clean bill of health, which he says proves that this country is not a tax haven. The Prime Minister further states that SVG has acquired a rating of largely compliant and has been upholding standards that many international countries do not. PM Gonsalves says his government takes a very strong position against the latest blacklist and that he will be going above and beyond to prove what he already knows.
We are not a tax haven, simply put. But these countries, I don't want to throw words at several of these countries which listed us, and other countries in Europe who are not complying with the standards we are complying with. All I'm saying is what we are doing. And this was unfair and unjust. And I wrote a letter on July the 8th to Pierre Moscovici, who is the commissioner in the European Commission dealing with this matter, and I explained everything to him. And asking him to send detailed explanation from the European Commission on this matter. And we look forward to the removal from the present European Union Commission blacklisting.
According to PM Gonsalves, it is important to resolve this matter since it has the ability to negatively affect the country.
See, these letters, these people do these things, and you're a small country, they smear you for absolutely no reason whatsoever, and then you have reputational damage you have to correct. It's like somebody make a false accusation against you personally that you do something which you didn't do, and you have to spend the time to clear your name. I mean, it's just what they did was plain wrong. And as you notice, the European Union Commissioner, European Union Ambassador to the Barbados and the OECS countries had to write a letter clarifying. I think that letter was published in the region, and basically saying, look, this is not what it is. But he was trying to see if he can reduce the extent of any damage, and he was embarrassed, and they didn't like it. But under the rules, if 10 countries were to do so, your name comes up on this list.
In related news, the Prime Minister is urging Vincentians to avoid creating what he terms as negative headlines for this country. He says that many persons are always quick to spread negativity, which comes off to the outside world as unpatriotic, and that SVG being blacklisted has nothing to do with politics, but it is an issue that affects everyone. The Prime Minister says this is one of those cases where all the facts are needed before formulating a particular opinion about the issue.
Soon as they heard St. Vincent and the Grenadines is blacklisted by the European Union, these 10 countries, they didn't wait for anything. They said, you see, they said they had gotten rid of the blacklist. Look at what happening here. It's so damaging to the country. You see why we need to have a change. They don't even, and the internet crazies went further crazy. It doesn't matter what is the truth. As soon as they hear something which they believe sounds bad about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they want to give it the headlines with a lot of unpatriotic drivel. I repeat it, unpatriotic drivel. Because they apparently can be unpatriotic and say the worst about the country.
Someone should be used as an example this general election for the bad actions that political parties practice around election time in giving away monies and other items in the hopes of winning the favor of the electorate. That's the view of Barrister at Law K. Bacchus-Brown, who was speaking on Sunday's Hit Talk program. According to Bacchus-Brown, it is time to raise the expectations of the electorate, adding that most Vincentians accept this behavior because it is what they know, and that someone has to raise the bar by lifting the ideals of the people.
In our legislation, we have election illegal practices, but it doesn't go that far. And I agree to you when you say that despite the fact of the illegal practices law and what can happen, serious consequences, we still have politicians giving out $100 to US dollars to persons on the morning of election, taking state material and trucks and giving out lumber and cement and galvanize. We have it, but maybe what we need to do is to set an example this election to make sure that this nonsense does not continue by taking somebody to court. Maybe that's the way to go.
Where are the women in politics? That's the question put forward on Sunday's Hit Talk by social and political activist Conley Rose. Rose says that women have a very important role to play in society and that it is time that the political parties stop pushing them to the back burner. He says it is time this country move away from such chauvinistic ideals and embrace that of the free world, where women are being fully represented in all spheres. Rose says in SVG there is a low level of political consciousness and that for true and permanent progress to take place, all Vincentians have to be on board.
Because I think we have to raise the bar. In our country there's a low level of political consciousness, with political awareness. And with this whole scenario with large sums of money, if you look at gender, women are more marginalized and put in the background. Our parliament has but one female. Parties have one female on the side on this time. Because I'm seeing from both our parliamentarians and the political directorate this level of male chauvinism and keeping women in the background. When the monies come, whether it's from the drug baron and so on, it has a direct influence on free and fair elections.
President of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, the SVG-TU, Oswald Robinson, is calling on teachers to step up their game in their professional conduct. Robinson says teachers cannot expect to want their students to perform while they are slackening in their own performance. He was at the time addressing the opening ceremony of a workshop for teachers, which will be held over the next 3 weeks at the Girls High School. The seminar is a collaborative effort of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, the SVG-TU, the Canadian Teachers Federation, the CTF, the Ministry of Education, and the Basic Needs Trust Fund. Robinson says teaching is a noble profession, and as educators, they must act as such.
Whereas the CPA exam would have made some increases, there's still a lot of improvement. There are a lot of areas. Too many of our children are not reading at their levels. And this is something that is of concern to the Teachers Union.
The Teachers Union president also expressed unease over the poor reading skills of students.
We are concerned about punctuality, regularity, and make sure that teachers perform their duties in a professional manner. So whereas from the trade union level, we would fight and lobby with the Ministry of Education and the government as a whole to look for better working conditions, we also have to put our houses in order. Because it's an organization with a dual responsibility. We have the professional development, it's a professional organization, it is also a trade union. So we cannot condone if our teachers do not live up to the ideals and the aspirations of a noble profession.
The record of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on women's rights will be examined by the UN Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, on Monday the 20th July in meetings that will be webcast live. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is one of the 189 states parties to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and so is required to submit regular reports to the committee of 23 independent experts on how it is implementing the Convention. The committee will engage in a dialogue with a delegation from the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on questions relating to the promotion and protection of women's rights in the country, and will also hear from NGO representatives. This session will take place in Geneva, and among the possible issues to be discussed are steps to criminalize domestic violence and to broaden its definition to comprise acts of sexual and psychological violence, steps to widen definition of rape to include any non-consensual sexual acts, measures to prevent and combat trafficking and forced prostitution. Other issues that may arise are regional cooperation to tackle trafficking in women and children, conditions under which legal abortion is available, adverse situation affecting the banana industry and the impact on rural women, steps to guarantee the protection of women's rights in de facto unions, that is, unions other than marriage. Practitioners in drug prevention and treatment in this country are being trained through a certification program. It's been funded by the Caribbean Case and Security Initiative of the U.S. Department of State and the Anti-Crime Capacity Building Program of the Caribbean Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. The seminar is organized by the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission, CCAD, and the Training and Certification Program for Drug and Violence Prevention Treatment and Rehabilitation, PROCER. Epidemiologist Dr. Rosamond Adams says the overall well-being of persons must be looked at when tackling substance abuse.
Therefore, programs like this help to raise awareness and to build capacity to respond to these problems that have been plaguing and destroying our society. As Beverly mentioned earlier on, adolescence can be a gift to our society and at times can be a problem to our society. However, you're going to get the skills in this program to be able to recognize those that we think are a plague to our society or a problem to our society, and to be able to bring them back in order for them to be gifts for us to cherish in our society.
Dr. Adams says the issue of drug abuse not only affects the addicts, but the family dynamic and overall society, including national security and health.
This training will enhance and hone your ability to engage individuals at the place of need. Left unchecked, incidents of drug use in our society will continue to affect our youths, our family structure and dynamics, whilst becoming increasingly burdensome on the healthcare system. It will become a threat to national security and will also affect the socio-economic status of the country.
And representative of the Organization of American States, the OAS, Diane Brown, has commended the various counselors and other persons involved in drug abuse prevention treatment and rehabilitation for their interest in upgrading their skills. According to Brown, addiction cannot be stereotyped to any particular class or gender.
In the past, substance use disorders were often considered a bad habit for those living on the margins of society. Fortunately, addiction has now been formally acknowledged as a disease impacting society as a whole, thereby making addiction a matter of public health. This acknowledgement charges governments with the responsibility to address the disease through a public health scope, including confronting the problems of limited human resources and institutional capacity in the field of drug prevention and treatment.
Clinical psychologist Carrie-Ann Hamilton says the training certification program corresponds with an initiative through the Department of Psychiatry Community Health at UWI-Mona, with evaluation being conducted at the St. George's University.
Components of this model consist of diagnostics, institutional and human resources profiles, and training needs mappings. So before this program was developed, they did investigations to see what did the Caribbean as a region need in our fight against drug use? Protocols, training, curricula, and materials development and adaptation for the region. Following development, it was then duly adapted to suit our people, our culture, and our way of life. Training of trainers and in-country trainings. This is the juncture at where we are at right now. We were trained and now we in turn are hoping to impart or transfer the knowledge we gained to you, the participants. Following which we will have the certification mechanism.
A kidney screening project for persons with possible risk factors will be conducted here early next month. The project, which will be conducted through the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment and the Caribbean Health Education Foundation, a charitable organization based in the U.S., which has been doing work in the area of kidney diseases in the region, particularly the OECS. Consultant and nephrologist at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, Dr. Tiwana Brown-Caesar, says at the moment there are no figures to show the prevalence of kidney diseases kidney disease in SVG, and this screening exercise will not only give them a better idea of persons with the disease here, but get them the necessary help they will need to stop the progression of such a disease, which, if not treated, could become chronic and eventually lead to death. Dr. Brown-Caesar says the screening will specifically target persons who are at risk and are over 18 years of age.
Persons with a personal history of diabetes, persons with a personal history of high blood pressure, if you have a family member who has had chronic kidney disease, and we really usually say first-degree relatives, mother, father, brother, sister, that sort of thing. You are eligible to be screened. Persons who have a history of lupus, persons who have HIV, these are persons who are at risk. The biggest group really are those with diabetes, hypertension, and those with a family member who has chronic kidney disease. So these are the persons we hope to get screened.
She outlines what the screening process entails and says they're hoping to screen between 1,500 and 2,000 people from across SVG.
They want to do blood pressure monitoring, blood sugar checks. They would also do a blood test called the hemoglobin A1C. This gives you an idea of how over the last several months your diabetes has been controlled. They would be doing height and weight to figure out what we call a body mass index, because obesity can also predispose you to kidney disease. They will be doing blood testing for creatinine levels, and they will also be doing urine testing to check for proteins, which is one of the early markers of kidney disease. In the group of volunteers, there are 3 nephrologists, world-renowned persons who have published in journals and literature, American and international journals of medicine and nephrology. And really, it's commendable that they do this sort of volunteer work. And I think this information would be useful to the Vincentian population, as well as to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to the people, in terms of giving us an idea of what the burden of chronic kidney disease is in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and really planning for it.
According to Dr. Brown-Caesar, there are little or no symptoms in the early stage of kidney disease. Hence, it is important that persons get screened to know whether they are carrying the disease.
We want to tell you, look, we did the blood test, we checked your urine, and you do have kidney disease, and it's something that should be followed and not ignored before you develop the symptoms, yes.
What's next though, after the screening? So, because it's all good to screen persons and find out whatever. Would there something be set up?
Absolutely. The blood testing you get results in 3 to 5 minutes, so it's on the day. So persons who we identify at increased risk, there would be 3 nephrologists on board, including myself, 4 nephrologists, that we could do consultation with the patients at that point and have a treatment plan, and also arrange follow-up with our specialists at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital as need be.
Okay, so after they finish having the screening, and if it is confirmed that
yes,
they do have,
yes,
then they can come and
absolutely, yes. So they would have referral letters, and we would have the lab results and the blood pressures and the glucoses, and we would have targets, and then we go through our chronic kidney kidney disease campaign with them, or goals of treatment. We have dietitians there that really, they've been doing a fantastic job with patients with chronic kidney disease. So if needs be, they would get appropriate referral to these persons as well. And we look forward to their arrival and getting this information and planning for the future of kidney disease in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Veteran calypsonian Alston Beckett Cyrus is emphasizing the importance for musicians to know the business they are a part of. In an interview with SVG-TV News, Cyrus says he is not writing as much now since he is dealing with musical pirates on cyberspace who are selling his music without him getting any compensation. Cyrus says he is collaborating with legal minds to ensure that copyright and other royalties matters are looked into so that he is not robbed of his hard work.
But that is so important because Sammy Davis, Jr., the late Sammy Davis, tell you that business is 90%, the show is 10%. And that's the reason I tell people I am not writing every day, because I have to get online. You'll see, you can go online, and if anybody now just Google Beckett or just do a search on Beckett, you'll find my music on sale all parts of the world, and 99% of those music, I don't know how they got there. So if you buy something online for me, 99% of those, and I have someone I'm trying to team up with to go after these people, but it takes time, and hopefully one day we'll catch up with that. But right now is to let the people in cyber world know that when they hear teaser, I am the owner, and it's to establish that in writing in the right forum, and that's what I'm busy doing. I'm catching up with that, and as soon as every year I say I have like another year to catch up. As soon as I catch up, I'm right back into the everyday writing, and I would like to write for some other people, but it's just the time.
Cyrus says he knows the importance of ensuring that copyright issues are carried out correctly, as he has benefited tremendously from the TV show Full House using his song Ooh La La without his permission. The Calypsonian says he got a very profitable deal from a settlement from the show's producers.
Successful song financially, Ooh La La. Now, Caribbean-wise, worldwide, I would say teaser. In terms of lump sum, because somebody stole my song, sold it to Disney, Ooh La La. So I finally got to the bottom of it, and we got a settlement. Now, as a result of the settlement, because the song was used in the Full House TV show, which was one of the famous sitcoms of all times in America, they put it on from that. They put it on CD. So putting it on CD, I have to give them a license. I got a good lump sum from that. I stepped in. I got that after the settlement. Now, hadn't I had the settlement, if I had the settlement later, I would have lost that money too. So because of that, those money from the settlement and from the sync license for them putting it onto DVD now, that would make it a bigger earner than teaser. But I would say a lot of people will be surprised, but teaser really is a bigger song from getting work. So if you add to getting the work, you would think teaser probably, but in terms of broadcast rights and stuff like this, it's Ooh La La.